I think it's a good deal. I think it's a very smart deal. First of all, I think Snap had a great IPO yesterday. It was very, very well done. I think the underwriters handled it really well in terms of the pricing, in terms of getting it out there. There wasn't too much volatility. And, you know, it's the question, though, is the company itself, right? Going forward, we have to see how it's going to perform, what it's going to do. Lost $500 million last year. Its prospectus says, don't expect profit anytime soon. We're still in growth mode. But they've got a nice cohort. They've got a lot of audience. They've got a lot of young people, over 150 million. And that's the future, right? So if you're a media company, if you're NBCUniversal, you want a part of that. You want a piece of that before it gets bigger and bigger.
And I guess the uniqueness of this, of what I've heard time and time again, is just how they've been able to take live video and that connection to it, and video on the small screen with mobile, in ways that most other players have struggled with.
Right, and I think that's I think what sets Snapchat apart, or Snap, a company, apart from, say, like Facebook, and that's the closest comparison in a lot of ways, is people communicating through picture and video, as opposed to text and messaging and little postings. And I think that's really different. It's a different mode of thinking. It's a different mode of communicating. For someone like, even for me, it's a hard thing to sort of wrap my head around sometimes. My initial sort of feeling when I want to communicate with someone is send them a text or call them on the phone or write them a letter. This is taking a selfie and annotating it. It's a different way of thinking.
For anybody else who wants to jump into Snap shares at this point, though, they're talking about 32 times sales.
Yes.
Not profit.
There's no profit
times
to speak
sales,
of, yeah.
Which is a hefty price tag, and that's where the analysts we've spoken to, those who have looked at this and had some questions about it, have said, well, you got to hope that this pays off and that this materializes.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of risk factors here. I think that's something to look at. Yeah.
Ed, you said it was priced right. There are some people. The company got $17. The stock moved 44%. What's your thoughts on that? Was it priced right?
Well, you know, it's tricky, right? It's more alchemy than it is science, right?
That's a good mix. Not too much, not too little.
Pop, right? I think 44% is generous on the part of Snapchat, if you think about it. The underwriters, the bankers made some good money. The early investors like NBCUniversal made some money off of this, which is it's a good thing. You want people to be happy about it.
Right.
You don't want to leave too much money on the table. I think Snap, you know, they raised what is 3.4 billion. Out of that, they hold 2 point somewhat billion that they can use for other things, acquisitions and hiring.
Nothing worse than a busted IPO.
Ed, but what does it mean though for the other traditional media players, for NBCU to align itself, and particularly for Snapchat to align itself with NBCU? Of course, Snapchat has been relatively agnostic to some degree in terms of the different media players that it's partnered with, but clearly the effort here is to deepen that relationship in a much more meaningful way.
No, I think that's a good question. I think
so if you're Disney or one of these others,
right,
you know, how are you thinking about this now?
Well, if you're Disney, if you're other media player, you're like, okay, so that's another sector, that's another part of the thing that I need to get into in some way or another. NBCUniversal is placing its bets with Snapchat, with, as you pointed out, Vox Media, which is parent company of my website, as well as BuzzFeed, right? So Steve Burke is really sort of, he's diversifying, I guess, right, is the best way to think about it. If you're Disney, if you're even CBS or Viacom, you really want to take a deeper look at, okay, I need to sort of step in and make sure I'm part of this new sort of emerging media landscape, whatever that looks like.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.